This is the first live that I have done in a long time. I've been on YouTube since the end of 2017, and I think maybe I've done three lives. I certainly haven't done any in the last, I don't know, year, two, three, something like that. But welcome to the live. If you're in the middle of the day looking for a sort of pick me up, trying to figure out how you're going to finish up the rest of the day, how are you going to make it through, and then when you get home, what am I going to do because I'm tired, I've got other responsibilities. Yeah, we're all there with you. We're all in this together. And I probably should have turned off my phone so that I don't have things that keep popping up. But that's why I held the phone up, because this is one of those things that can be a distraction. But I'm sitting in over there. I haven't turned the notifications off just in case my daughter calls. You guys know how that is. If you've got people that you need to kind of stay in contact with, then you have your phone because you don't want to miss those emergencies. But today is Tuesday. I did not make it to the gym this morning. You know, I like to try to fit in my exercise first thing in the morning so that I get it out of the way, so that I'm not trying to fit it in at the end of the day between some other stuff. I get it taken care of and knocked out first thing in the morning. But I have some things that I'm trying to get done. I have some goals that I'm trying to meet. My brain is freshest in the morning. I don't know about you, but mine is at its peak in the morning. So if I wait until the end of the day sometimes, then that means that I can use those fresh brain cells for work instead of at the gym. And this morning I needed it for work, but I did walk on the treadmill while I was working out. I didn't even say that right. I did walk on the treadmill while I was working. So I had my board. It's actually the board that I have set up now that is holding up the laptop. Same board. I have it set up here so that I can have this conversation now. But you guys know how it is. You get to the end of the day and you just aren't fitting any more stuff in. You're totally tired. You're looking around at stuff that needs to get done in your house or apartment or condo, wherever it is you live, and you start to feel overwhelmed because you can't get done everything that you want to get done. One of the things that constantly, I think, bothers me is when I have a whole bunch of stuff sitting around and it's in the way, it's distracting. It can make you feel an even higher level of anxiety. My daughter used to say to me when she was younger, and I would take her to summer camps, like before we would leave, I would wipe off the table, clean the counters, make sure there weren't any dishes in the sink, because when I came back, I was going to have to regroup and either go to work or come back and work from home, depending upon where I was in my career. I didn't want to have to come back home and walk into a mess. Who wants to walk into a mess after you've already been out working all day? Or even if you're trying to come back home and you want to start working, you want to feel productive and ready to go, you don't want to walk into the house. And if you're like me, a lot of times you walk in through the kitchen, through the side door, or something like that. You don't want to walk in and the first thing that you see is like more mess, because then you feel like you have more stuff to do. And it just becomes, oh my gosh, I don't feel like doing any of it. I just want to run away. I think I'll engage in some retail therapy and be done with it. So a lot of times I do take out time in the morning just to sort of fix things up or clean things up. Since I primarily work from home now, I will throw stuff in the washing machine and the dishwasher. I will clean up to the extent I can. Now, by the time it gets to lunchtime, and especially if I'm using my air fryer, it might not get cleaned back out. It may sit in the sink because by then I've had lunch and I'm like going back and I'm trying to get something to eat. But this sort of idea of trying to pick the best times in my day when I can be productive, like I already know what works for me and what doesn't. I can work for a long time in the morning if I start early, but around, I think this morning I got on the treadmill at like 4:45 and I didn't stop work until what time was it? Like 10:45. So yeah, that's quite a long time to. I didn't walk that whole time. I would stop and sometimes just stand there and work. I didn't walk that whole time, but I did work pretty much, I'd say 90 to 95% of that time. I stopped to like brush my teeth or something like that. By the time it got to 10:45, close to 11, I was burned out. I was tired. I needed a break. And so it's like, it's lunchtime, it's snack, it's get a drink, it's whatever. It's take me away from this and let me think about something else entirely because I was just worn out. I was done from focusing for that amount of time. And it's interesting because I remember working in an employment situation, and one of my colleagues got upset because another colleague wanted to take a morning break. And I just remember thinking to myself, do you seriously expect people to be able to focus and do really good work for you nonstop for a 4 hour period before they go to lunch and not have a break in there to give their brains a chance to rest, to recharge, and to catch back up? It made absolutely no sense to me from even the person who had an issue with it was in a supervisory capacity. uh, I would think that even if you didn't care about your employees and the people who worked for you, you would at least think about it in terms of, well, I should really let them have a break because then they'll come back and they'll be more productive and can focus and I can get more out of them. But I don't even think that thought process went through their mind. But as adults, just like children, when we were children, we took naps, although now I like naps too. For some reason, though, we think that adults can just go, 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 go like that, and they really can't. We're just like any other animal. We need rest and a time to recoup and recharge too. So, by mid morning this morning, I was definitely in a space where I needed to recharge myself. And lunchtime was a really good place to sort of do that. So I actually moved from the treadmill to the kitchen table where I actually sat down at the kitchen table. I got my lunch and I sat there and ate my lunch. Now, granted, I did have the laptop there with me so that I could continue to get some work done, but it wasn't that sort of really focused work. It was a little bit more, I guess I don't want to call it leisure work because that's almost like an oxymoron, right? It was more work that was not as stressful. Let's put it that way. It was done in a leisurely manner because I was eating at the time and I wasn't giving it my 100%. It was just sort of, oh, well, let me follow up to that. Oh, well, let me send this. And yeah, but yeah, you need to walk away sometimes and then come back. It's sort of like if you've ever done editing or if you've ever had to write something or review something that somebody else has written, because I've done, as an attorney, I've drafted contracts. I've written other things too. You know that best version that you think you just put together is not usually the best version. The best version comes after you have had a chance to walk away from it and then to come back and edit your own work. Now, of course, you also want to share it with other people who can proofread and edit and do that sort of thing too. A set of fresh eyes is always a great thing, you guys. But if you only have yourself and you sit there and you go through it and you never take time away from it to come back and sort of see if it's really good, then yeah, you're probably doing yourself a disservice because it's the editing that makes your work better. So yeah, I did a little bit of that. But as we move into the afternoon, it's been a really nice day. I was actually talking on the phone earlier with a client, and the client mentioned, "Oh, it's really nice outside." Well, it hit me at that point. I have not been outside all day, you guys. I As much as I love the sunshine and fresh air, I know that at some point in time, I think I'm going to have to go outside and get in a quick walk. My only concern is I can tell that the sun is moving away and I think it's supposed to rain today. So I'm going to have to fit that walk in a little while if I really want to get it in. I just need to get some fresh air. I'm facing the windows. I can totally see out. So that's great, but it's not enough. Like you actually have to walk outside so that you can get the full benefit of that fresh air and sunshine and, get that vitamin D working that I need to have working. So, yeah, so the afternoon sort of slumps and then our productivity slumps. Everything sort of takes a downfall because we've been working so hard for most of the day. it's okay to take a break. It's okay to get up and walk away and come back. We're never going to be our best selves if we think that we have to put in 100%, 100%, 1000% over the course of the whole day. Nobody can do that. And you're never going to put out your best work like that. You know what's going to happen? You're just going to get even more stressed and you're going to get burned out. And that's when you feel like you can't accomplish anything. That's when you start to feel like you're depressed and you can't move forward at all. I have worked with a lot of people over the last couple of years. And I say over the last couple of years because it matters that it was the last couple of years. Prior to that, people may have been in situations where they were economically stressed, but they weren't feeling like they feel now. Okay, now people are literally teetering on the edge and they're feeling some kind of way about that. They're trying to find pathways of economic stability for their families. They're tired of having to make ends meet and having to spend so much time trying to get to their point where their family situation, their family economics is stable, trying to find places to live that they can afford. I talk to a lot of people who are just still struggling. But I think one of the things that the last couple of years has taught us is that we need to find a better way of looking for stability and what stability looks like for us. Now, granted, we're never going to be able to control everything. And I tell people that even when I'm doing contracts, it's like the contract is supposed to take as much off the table. So we don't have to guess about when the work is supposed to be due because there's a due date in the contract. We don't have to guess about how much you're supposed to pay me because the due date is in the amount is in the contract. You don't have to worry about what the product that you're supposed to deliver is to somebody else because the product is listed in the contract. But there may be other things that we didn't know about or we didn't expect to happen. And so what you're trying to do with a contract is you're trying to minimize these other issues cropping up, and you're trying to plan for as many things as you can. The last couple of years have sort of taught us that we need to do a better job of planning because this caught all of us off guard. Who would have thought that the world would have been shut down like the way it was? Like who was sitting around thinking about that? No, we were going to our dentist appointment. We were dropping our kids off at school, taking them to the soccer practice. We were hanging out with our organizations, trying to figure out what the next community service project was that we wanted to do. We were not sitting back planning for a major shutdown and looking forward to economic stimulus packages to kind of help provide some sort of catch for us because we were all falling at that point. Nobody had really planned for this. Now, of course, there were some people who, were in a better economic situation. And yes, they had planned. Their family and generations before them may have planned, so they were in a different place. But most of us were not there. For most of us, for a lot of these businesses, it hit people very hard. I think things started shutting down, around March or something like that. And I got an email from a company that I used personally that I loved using because it was a local business. And I felt like anytime I needed that particular service, I could always count on them. If I needed it expedited, I could always count on them. And it was minority owned. It was the first business that I got an email for saying that they were going to shut down. Now, granted, once people saw what was going on, they did look for other opportunities, but not everybody was able to do that. And so a lot of people have started to recognize, hey, okay, I've learned a whole lot here, and I'm going to start to plan not just for my health and fitness, but for my family's fitness in terms of economic stability and jobs and employment and what my career path looks like and what I can do to increase the skills that I have. A lot of people turn to the internet to sort of say, okay, so how can I make money on the internet? How can I make money in a digital sort of way? Because I can't really open this business over here, bricks and mortar, because right now we're really shut down. and my business is not really bringing in any income, so I can't really expand and tweak my model because there's nothing there to support that. I can try to get a loan, but then there's going to be this time of growth and I need to pay that back. So people were looking at a lot of different options, trying to figure out, what the best pathway was forward for them. I think one of the biggest lessons that came out of this, though, was that nobody that nobody ever wants to be in this situation again. I think we all knew that, right? Nobody wants to be in this situation again, ever. But recognizing that things happen, we're now sort of like, okay, I'm going to work really hard to put some things in place so that if something like this happens again, or if just something minor happens, I want to be better prepared to be able to handle it. I want my children to be in a better position to be able to handle it. I want my family and friends, everyone I know, to be in a better position. But I'm starting here at home. What can I do to make that happen? So definitely, we all have felt the stress of being in this situation, and a lot of people have had to tweak, what their goals were, some of the things that they were interested in doing, things that they had planned to do. They totally had to change that. I remember being in a courthouse one day in Wake County, and there was an attorney. He and I walked out of the courtroom at the same time, and we were just sort of talking. And I can't remember how this came up, but he made a comment about he was only doing that type of work right now because that was pretty much what he was having to do to make ends meet. He was like, this is not really what I want to do, but this is what I'm doing now. So you step up to the need or you don't. Most people I know step up to the need. When you when you need to do something different, you step up and figure out what it is, and then you start to get it done. Unfortunately, not everybody has the ability to always do that. There can be other challenges that keep you from doing that. But for those who can, I saw a lot of people tweak what they were doing and sort of say, okay, that's not going to work anymore. Or, okay, this is totally shut down. I mean, I saw a lot of businesses and people who worked in certain businesses shut down. Even the gym that you see me go to all the time, it was shut down. And so, can you imagine you've got all of those clients who are paying you each month, and now you have to shut down, and people aren't going to want to pay you when they aren't able to use the service, and they shouldn't have to. And so, all of a sudden, you're this business owner, you have a lease on a space, on a commercial space of that size, that you now have to figure out how you're going to continue to pay. Because even if you've got a couple of months saved up, you don't know how long this thing is going to last. Part of it, again, is planning, but part of it is being to say, okay, so how am I going to survive? And what does survival look like for me? A lot of these businesses are just starting to come back. They're just starting to really build back up to a place where they can say they're making it, but they're not necessarily succeeding or back to the level where they were before. So it's really hard on a lot of people. This sort of idea for me that I'm walking into the gym every morning gives me the what I want to call it. It gives me the momentum to go forward into the day. First of all, it's the get up, right? For some people, that's the hard part. It's, I don't want to get up. I don't want to face this again. I don't want to do this again. But you really, truly have to if you want to move forward. So that first piece about getting up in the morning, it's not just a physical fitness sort of thing. It's the thing that resets your mind into going ahead and planning your day and moving forward through your day and figuring out the things that you're going to accomplish that day. I was never really a stay in the bed kind of person anyway, even when I was younger. But now it's an even bigger deal for me. It's get up, start your day, feel good about the day, feel good about what it is you want to do for yourself. Nobody is going to take care of you. Only you are the person who is responsible for you, not your children, not your spouse, not your parents. if you're an adult, okay? You are responsible for yourself. There's nobody coming to save you. There's nobody coming to do it for you. And I think sometimes, we're looking around and we're asking questions, and sometimes we need to reflect, hold up the mirror and say to myself, what is it that I need to do to reach these goals that I have for myself, you know? And the other thing is, we don't always have to do it alone either. We can definitely bring in accountability partners. There have been plenty of times when I brought in accountability partners to work with me. Yeah. Let's see. It's kind of quiet out there now. I haven't written anything in here. I should have at least like typed hello. But yeah, I think somebody said something and then deleted it. But yeah, it this is a really good opportunity now that the world has started to open back up for us to sort of look around and say, okay, do I want to do things differently, or do I want to go back to doing the things that I was doing before? This can be an opportunity, say make lemonade out of lemons, but we have to be willing to, number one, put the work in. Like it's not going to be easy. I have had so many people say to me, "Oh, well, it's easy for you to work out, or it's easy for you to exercise and to look good and feel good because you're already there." And I'm just like, I still got to get up every morning, just like you got to get up. What are you talking about? I got to get dressed. I got to go to the gym. I got to be willing to work out on whatever machines. I got to be willing to lift weights. I got to be willing to sweat. I got to be willing to work. My health would start to suffer immediately if I stopped. So it's not this sort of thing that, oh, well, I've already worked out all of these years, so therefore I don't ever have to work out again. That's not the way it works. You have to continually put in the work. And so I continue to put in the work. Each day is an opportunity for me to make a decision about, am I going to put in the work? Am I not going to put in the work? Plenty of people sit back and don't put in the work. And then they wonder why they wind up in the same situation that they're in. Ask yourself what you're doing to put in the work in order to meet your goals. These are opportunities, I'm not saying that we aren't going to feel stressed and worried and burdened and filled with anxiety because we don't know what the future holds. We don't know if we're going to have it. You could get fired any day, you know, you could lose your job. Something could happen, there are all sorts of things. People get into car accidents. People find out that they have a medical condition. So challenging things happen to us all the time. And those can be very overwhelming, to have to take those on. Those can be really hard to deal with, you know. So part of it is saying, how am I going to deal with each one of these challenges and continue to move forward? And it takes time. And like I said before, you can't always do it by yourself. Sometimes you have to have other people there with you. That's what family and friends are for. And it's another reason why we should be sometimes looking at what family members we're hanging around, what friends we're hanging around. Do they have the same mindset? Are they bringing positivity or negative energy to what it is you're trying to do? Or are they being supportive of you and the things that you're trying to do? And sometimes support can be as simple as just calling somebody or shooting them a text to say, good morning, I hope you have a great day. My mom sends out these memes all the day. I mean, all the day, all the time, like every day, pretty much. I get one from her, and it's just the shortest little thing. But the fact that she takes the time to send that to me and my sisters, that is such a wonderful blessing. One day, she's not going to be here. One day, I'm not going to be here. Like, we never know when that's going to happen. And for me, that'll likely be one of those things that I'll remember, because then I won't get them anymore. And I'll be like, now is the day I needed for my mom to send me something because I'm so stressed, It's those little things. Like, it doesn't even take that much, but it means so much to the person who gets it. So this sort of idea of who we have around us and how much they can influence what we think, not just of others, but what we think of ourselves, you know? Um, thank you for your help with this. Hi, James. It matters so much. One of the things that I really try to do with my daughter is to just take her places with me. You know, she is now 20 years old. And, you know, as she has gotten older, especially, you know, when she started to be more of a teenager and I could like really take her to stuff and she'd understand. It was different when she was young because you could just take them anywhere, you know, to anything anyway. But as she got older, it was way more important to me to take her with me to places so that she could experience things, you know, and be exposed to things. And I, you know, I told her this, I've shared this with her plenty of times that, you know, some of the things you're going to, a lot of kids don't get the opportunity to do this. She did an internship with that the New York Times was doing. You know, we are not we are not this financially wealthy family. So it was, yes, we will apply for a scholarship. Because think about it, you got to pay to fly up there and fly back, and it was like 2 weeks, and then you got to fly back and get her and fly back. You know, there were costs associated with the program and going, but the opportunity that she got and the things that she got exposed to just meant so much. And so I have tried to put her in places where she can experience things. And then there were times where we looked at things and we thought, oh, well, that would be nice, but that is way outside of our budget. I can't even make that fly. But yeah, it is so good to make sure that you have positive people around you and positive people who are like lifting you up, and then you're lifting up other people with you. So I think the saying goes, lift as you build. And so as you build things, you lift other people up with you. And that is one of the things that, you know, trying to do with her and the people around me. But yeah, but it can definitely be very difficult when you have challenges, and a lot of people have been in a challenging space for a while. But the other thing that we can start to do is to sort of think about what we want the future to look like, you know, and not just, you know, in the past it would be, oh, what do you want 5 years from now? What do you want 10 years from now? That's a long way off. And there are lots of things that can happen that can sort of impact what that looks like. One of the things I prefer to do is to think in terms of what am I doing right now? What am I doing to meet the monthly goals that I have for myself? So I actually have an Excel spreadsheet that helps me track everything that I'm trying to keep up with. So I can go back and I can look at it from last year. It's broken down by month, and then it's summarized at the end of each quarter, and then summarized at the end of each year. And then I have like the monthly goals and the quarterly goals and the annual goals all broken down. And so I can see whether or not I'm doing what I need to do in order to meet my goals. If I have a bigger mindset of where I want to be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I've got all of these measures that I'm tracking and that I'm looking at to make sure that I'm on target to hit those goals. So that is how I'm sort of framing it. It's not just, you know, I'm getting up in the morning, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's that I'm actually keeping a record. Write it down, have your plan, write it down, and then do your plan, you know? That's what sort of keeps me focused, because there are definitely plenty of times when I wake up and I'm looking at that list and I'm thinking, okay, so what am I going to do when? And one of the best ways that I've found to sort of keep from feeling overwhelmed and to stay focused and to make sure that I'm getting the things done that I need to get done is to put it on my calendar. So it's one thing to have a to-do list. It's another thing to have a calendar that says when you're going to do those things, because the priorities, you know, like I said before, I get up very early in the morning. I need to knock out the things that matter the most first. Otherwise, they fall to the bottom of the list and they don't get done. At like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, I'll be like, okay, what's that one or, what's one more thing that I could get done? And I'm half awake trying to get that one thing done. I never get it finished, but I'm trying to do it anyway. Um, so yeah, but anyway, there are there are ways to sort of track your goals. There are different kinds of techniques and tools. There's different kind of software out there that you can use. All of those items you can take and figure out which ones work for you and which ones don't. Each person, you're going to have to decide what works and what doesn't work. For me, like I said before, just having a calendar, having an Excel spreadsheet, and being able to then sort of break things down and keep up with them is one of the best ways that I find that I'll meet those. But yeah, so going forward, like I said before, it's midday sort of motivational talk about what we're doing, how we're moving forward, and sort of wrapping up the day to then sort of say, okay, these are the things that I was able to get done. And then it's the next day. So how do I plan for the next day too? Because a lot of times, like I said before, I'll get to the end of the day and may not have accomplished a whole lot, or get to the end of the day and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for the next day. In those cases, usually what I'll do, especially the next morning before I go to the gym, is I'll go ahead and make a note of those first things that I need to get accomplished when I come back, because I want to make sure it's like, okay, Sheila, these are the main 3 things that are important. You need to get those knocked out first thing this morning, and then you can go back to, the other things that are on your to-do list. So again, I really try to knock those things out early and then go from there. But yeah, so that's sort of, some of what's been going on in terms of trying to regroup, trying to reframe what's going on, trying to move forward, trying to still stay productive when we're in this environment and we're not really sure what's going to happen next. But yeah, if you have any thoughts, any suggestions on, productivity for you, any tools that you've been using, let me know in the comments. And, we'll maybe I can check into those and see if they're if they're if they're tools that I might be interested in using. But other than that, that is about it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And as I said before, this is my first YouTube live that I've done in a really long time. And, hopefully I'll do some more and we can talk about some different topics. And maybe I can do a different topic each day or something like that. But let me know in the comments too if you have any particular things that you want to talk about. And other than that, thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to subscribe and peace. Mwah.